We are live. Hey everyone, God bless you guys. God bless you. This is Joel Espinosa. On tonight on the topic, pass me the mic. And I first, man, I first hope everyone had a blessed Christmas with your family, your loved ones. I had an amazing time with my family, my friends that were here at home with us. It was a moment of intimacy with our close friends and family that were with us, and just being able to break bread and do life. It was something that was just really well needed, right? And I got to thinking on tonight and what's in my heart to share, and I hope this brings some insight to your heart and to your life. I don't know where you're at in your life as we speak, but we are a few days away from entering a brand new year. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy how we are just days away from entering into 2025. It even sounds crazy to even say that, but it's coming. It's coming, and the days are going fast, and in my opinion, faster. And a lot of us are going through things in life, and there's a battle. There's a battle, and many of us in our minds and in our lives, and there's a battle that takes place where we get tired of fighting battles. We get tired of trying to resolve situations. We get tired of trying to overcome obstacles, and it's a human side of us, right? But I want to share a story today with you, and I hope it's a blessing to your life. And I want to be as real as I can be tonight on this topic. And so I want to encourage you as you tune in to share this with anyone who needs to hear this today, and maybe tonight or tomorrow or even next year. But it's a story out of Genesis chapter 32, and I love this story because it's Jacob at a point in his life where he needs a breakthrough. He needs a miracle, and he's at a point. I call it the breaking point. Have you ever been at a breaking point where it's like it's now or never? I'm gonna plunge. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go all in. And I think a lot of us have been there or are there right now, right? As we speak, but Jacob, his story to me is it's outstanding. It's crazy to see how Jacob was in a position to fight for a blessing, and he did what he had to do to be able to overcome that. And I want to speak tonight on the topic of finishing strong. Don't let go. Pass me the mic. But finishing strong and do not let go. Jacob was at a point in his life where he needed a breakthrough. And the Bible teaches in Genesis 32 that he fought with an angel all night long. Now, this is intense. This is wild to even picture a man fighting with an angel. And one would ask, like, what was the objective? What was the reason behind that? Why was Jacob fighting with an angel? You have to understand that Jacob was coming from a background where it was in his nature to deceive people, to rob people, to do all types of things. But Jacob came to a point in his life where he needed a miracle. He needed a change, and he needed one now. A lot of us are at that point in our lives where we need a miracle, and we need a breakthrough, and we need it now. And a lot of us are like Jacob. And Jacob found himself in a position where he knew that if he was going to overcome, it was going to be then and now. I've learned in my journey with God that there are battles and there are struggles and there are things that we go through in life that will mark you. It will change you. It will bring you to a breaking point where you just gotta fight and continue fighting until you get that breakthrough. I'm reminded of a time where I went through a very difficult season in my life where I just felt that I needed just to give up. Like I felt like I couldn't do this anymore. It was a challenging moment in my life where I felt as if what I was doing in life had no purpose. And when you have that encounter with God, everything changes. Everything changes. And I feel like many of us are out there right now fighting a battle. Number one, it's not your battle. It's not my battle. It belongs to the Lord. It belongs to the Lord. But one of the first things that I enjoy about Genesis chapter 32 was Jacob was alone. Jacob was alone fighting for a blessing. Jacob was alone fighting for a blessing. This is one thing I've learned about God is that when God deals with us, he always tends to deal with us on a one-to-one basis. And I've always said this because it's interesting to see that when God deals with us, he always deals with us on a one-to-one basis where it's just you and God. No one else is there but just you and God. And Jacob had left his family on the other side of the river, and he came alone to have this encounter with God. When we come before the presence of God, it's just you. It's you. It's you being real with yourself. It's you being real with God and just coming the way you are. Man, there's a story that God is writing in your life as we speak. I just feel that to tell you right now. There's a story that God is writing on your life, about your life. There's a story, man, that God is writing. Your story, many need to hear it. Many need to hear your story. Many need to hear about what you've gone through, about what you've dealt with, and how you were able to overcome that. Um, Many times we spend our energy and our focus on things that are negative and things that are not turning out as we expect it to be. But I want to tell you tonight, the way Jacob fought for a blessing is the way God is asking tonight to fight. Fight. Fight for your marriage. Fight for your kids. Fight for what God has given you. Fight for your blessings. What are those things that God is asking you to fight for? But the most important thing here tonight is, why are you fighting? Why are you fighting? What's the reason behind that? If you're fighting for your personal gain, if you're fighting to prove a point, then it's irrelevant. But if you're fighting to overcome, if you're fighting to see a miracle in your life, then you're doing it with a purpose. Did you hear that? If you're fighting for your personal gain, it's irrelevant. But if you're fighting with a purpose, then go for it. Go for it. I continuously fight for my marriage, for my children, for my life, for my intimacy with God, because to me it's important. The story that God is writing for my life for the upcoming year, I want it to be defined now. I don't want to step into a new year with old expectations, with old goals. I want to step in with a fresh mindset. And so I think the key things about Jacob when he fought with this angel was, number one, his persistence, but the transformation that went with it, but also the fight. It was a fight for a blessing. It was a fight for the countdown. It was a fight to go all in and to know that it was God Himself that was breaking Jacob. Isn't it amazing that when this was all done and over with, God changed the name of Jacob. He was no longer going to be the one that deceived. He was no longer going to be the one that robbed, and he was no longer going to be the one that did things that was not pleasing before God. But now Jacob was going to be named Israel, and he was one that was going to be known, that person that fought with God and was able to overcome. Man, it's it's a beautiful story, because when you are with God and God is with you, every battle that we face is not in vain. Every story that God is defining in your life as we speak is not in vain. And we're not wrestling for our glory. We're not wrestling for our gain. We're wrestling for the glory of God. I'm wrestling because I'm believing God for salvation in my family. I'm wrestling because I'm believing God for a breakthrough in my marriage. I'm wrestling because I believe that God is going to take me out of this rut in the ministry, and He's going to lift me up, and I'm going to see great things. This is just in general, but this is why we are asked to wrestle, to fight for what God has promised to us. I believe with all of my heart that God is doing something in the midst of your life as we speak. And some of us are really close of getting there, of seeing that. But I feel that a lot of us are like also close to throwing in the towel. And I believe that God is saying to someone, don't throw in the towel. Like don't throw in the towel. Stay in the fight. And when you watch a boxing fight, it's not pretty sometimes. It's not. I mean, there's sweat. Sometimes there's blood, and there's the determination that someone is going to win tonight. And I want you to picture yourself that way. That, man, you're in the fight, and there's a struggle, and there's a battle of giving up, and there's a battle of throwing the towel, and you're so close to getting to where God is going to take you, and the enemy's wanting to take you out before he can. And you just got to understand today that God's not going to leave you, and that God's not going to forsake you. And I just believe with all of my heart that God is doing something in your life, even as we speak. And I don't know who you are, and I don't know where you're at in your life, but I just believe right now that God is preparing something in your life for what's ahead, and it's glorious, and it's powerful, and it's beautiful. The story that God is preparing for you, for your home, for your life. I believe with all of my heart that there are miracles that God is preparing in your life and your home as we speak. And you've gone through some stuff, and you've got some stories to tell. And yes, it has not looked pretty, and it has not looked nice, and it's been difficult, but in the end, it's going to be very well worth it. Jacob, his name was changed to Israel. Jacob was transformed that day. Jacob received a miracle that was going to define the rest of his life. There's battles that are going to define who you are. So don't throw in the towel. Do not stop fighting the fight of faith. Do not let go of the hand of God. Keep pressing forward, for God is on your side. We are, what is it, 5, 6 days away from entering a brand new year. Start now. Start speaking God's grace over your home. Start speaking God's blessings over your home. Start speaking God's grace over your job, over your career, over your finances, over the ministry. Start speaking the hand of God. God, I'm fighting for my home. I believe that next year a breakthrough will happen that will define my story. I believe that you're shifting some things in my life that are gonna transform it for the best. And I believe, God, that this battle that I'm in, you're gonna turn it into a miracle. You're gonna turn it into a testimony that I'll be able to share with others. Remember this: your story right now does not define who you are. The story that you're living right now as we speak does not define who you are. It is the outcome of that story that makes this story even more powerful. It wasn't that Jacob fought with an angel. It was that Jacob was persistent, that he was able to obtain his victory. It was that Jacob was determined. It was that Jacob was tired of his old ways, that he did not give up until he obtained his victory. I believe this today for your life. And Father, I just stand in agreement with whomever is hearing this word today. And I pray, Lord, that you will prepare us for what's ahead, for the season, for the journey, for what you are doing. And I'm not asking you to remove the battles from us, but I am asking you to help us overcome those battles in your name. And I pray for strength for my friend that hears me, for my brother, my sister. I pray for guidance. I pray that we'll be able to hear your voice, God, and to understand your plans. Give us that clarity. Give us that direction that we need to be able to understand what you are trying to show us. We know that it's not in vain. And I pray, God, that you will align our steps to your steps and that your perfect will be done. Amen. I pray this word has been a blessing to your life. Please, please, please share this with whom you feel might need to hear this word. I love you. It's been a blessing as always connecting on Thursday. This is Joel on the topic Pass Me the Mic. Finishing strong. Don't let go. God bless you guys. Blessings. Bye.